gonna screw this whole thing up. I'm not, you know, I'm just not very good at this, like, you know, sitting across the table from people I never have.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna come around this way. It's a small, intimate joint.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Yeah, come on, come on. I'm really You guys, yeah, don't let the pillar get in the way. Come over this side. We got lots of room around front.
I don't know if you even need that.
Oh, yeah, I know. I probably should, though. I'm starting to lose my voice. I feel like you guys are all taking pictures of my crotch. I feel like this is all, you know, it's all going off the rails. I should have worn a skirt. So, yeah, exactly. You know, that's not good for everyone. You calm down. So how we doing, guys? You enjoying the con experience? Yeah. Beautiful. I love it.
Do you love it? So is this your, this isn't your first one, obviously, no?
No, this is my first one in Toronto.
Yeah?
Yeah. But they let me come around here. I came here about 3.5 years ago. I did a pilot.
Yeah.
And I stayed for about a month and a half. And my daughters still refer to it as their Toronto home. So they're like, when are we gonna go back to our Toronto home?
Bring it back anytime.
I know, exactly, man. Yeah, we love it.
So let's go sort of back to the beginning of all of this, because there was so much secrecy.
I was born a poor black child. And then my dad graduated from medical school, and all of that changed, except for the black part. Then we became an upper middle class family in Georgia. We moved to Hawaii for a short time. I don't know why I started talking like Morgan Freeman. It's like all of a sudden, you know, you tell a story, it's going to sound better if Morgan Freeman does it. So at the time, I was in Shawshank Prison. No, I'm sorry.
So we're just talking about King Ezekiel. There was so much secrecy around it.
Yeah.
And I love that the show shoots in Georgia. You're down there shooting this, but you have relatives down there, presumably. You can't tell anybody anything about this.
Yeah, I mean, I told my dad, and he was the only one I told. I can't tell my mom, because my mom can't keep a secret to save her life. In fact, I know this because several conversations we've had have ended with, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. And so, yeah, so if I've got a really big secret, I don't tell my mom, but she's got that mother's intuition or something. And so I was with my parents, and we were in the kitchen finishing cleaning up, and she just looked at me and she said, Khary, I feel like you got something to tell me, but you just can't. And I looked at my dad, and he looked at me, and he just was like, it's crazy. So, but my dad is like a vault, so I could at least tell him. But I didn't tell my best friends in Georgia. I didn't tell anybody because, you know, the first thing anybody asks in Atlanta, if you're working and shooting there, is, are you working on The Walking Dead? And so I didn't even tell them I was working at all. I actually, when I told my friends in LA I was going out of town, I told them I went to Vancouver. Because I didn't want anybody to know where I was shooting. I just wanted to know I was out of town shooting somewhere. Yeah.
If you're going to Vancouver, you must be making a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, something weird and magical that comes on the Sci-Fi Channel, maybe.
That's right.
You know, they got, exactly. You know, it's got that sci-fi world kind of feel to it.
So, tell me a little bit about landing the part. So they get in touch with you, but they didn't even tell you it was for King Ezekiel. Right?
No, they didn't tell me it was the King Ezekiel, but you know, you'd have to be an idiot not to figure it out. They're like, so it's this guy in The Walking Dead, and he's got a lion, and he's a general in a community, and you know, it's like, yeah, let's see, that's not white. We'll figure that out. Yeah, so it didn't take long to figure out that it was Ezekiel. But the process of the audition, I mean, you know, I had a little more than a weekend to go over it, and the audition was that scene between Carol and I where I first revealed that I'm, you know, you know, putting this thing on, you know, for the sake of everyone.
That's a long scene.
It's a long scene, so yeah, and it's kind of exhausting because you've got to be kind of bigger than life, especially in the audition. You have to be much bigger, you know, in the whole thing in the show. It ends up being a quieter scene all the way through, but it was a little more dynamic and needed to be to kind of give you an idea of the character more. And so but after about, I don't know, about 48, 57 hours or something of going on where you go in and do it. And it was a good feeling because I was exhausted, but I also felt like I definitely got that job. You know, most of the time, I don't know. You never know if you're gonna get the job or not. And even this time, I didn't know for sure if I was gonna get it, but I was like, I don't know if everybody can do this. I mean, you can maybe, I happen to have like people in my family that I could kind of pull from who sound a little bit like Ezekiel when he's being, you know, royal and avuncular. And then there's you know, the other Zeke side that's more laid back, and I definitely got uncles who are that way. You know, so I have places to pull from, and I felt like not everybody's gonna have that experience of life that I did that kind of had me trained well for this particular part. So after about 3.5 weeks, they called me back and said, at first they were like, well, you're a little too young. And then they were like, well, you're a little too skinny. And I was like, well, why don't you go out there and find somebody and come back to me. And 3.5 weeks later, they scoured the earth and they were like, okay, fine, you can do it.
And so when you're taking over a character on this show, the character exists in the comic books. People love those books. They love the characters from there. So do you have to be completely genuine towards that version of the character? I know that you look to a great uncle of yours as sort of partial inspiration and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I think that in any part you do, you got to give yourself, you know, give it a piece of yourself to make it authentic. And is, of course, the essence of who Ezekiel is, you want to take it from the comic, and you want people, you know, I'm very happy when I hear people who read the comic and they feel like I did a good job translating, you know, the differences. But the thing is that they are alternate universes, and they're not exactly the same people. You know, the way that Ezekiel in the book kind of deals with hard times and things is slightly different than the way that Ezekiel in the show does. And so I actually had to read it for, you know, my own edification and for fun and everything, but I kind of put it aside and forget about it because they can go in an entirely different direction on the show. And I didn't want to get freaked out by that. There were a couple of times where I was like, this isn't like the guy in the comic book, and Scott Gimple, the showrunner, he was like, yeah, forget about that. Whatever you read there, don't do that. We're gonna do something totally different. So he keeps you on your toes.
And what was the first reaction from the fans? Everyone here clearly loves it.
Woo! You know what? It's been really good. I mean, most of the time, I mean, it's the world of the internet, you know, the age of the internet. And I was expecting people to come out and just absolutely hate me. And I've done a lot of cartoons where people assume the worst. You know, when my first cartoon I did was Teen Titans, and I was Cyborg, and before they'd even heard my voice, they were like, "That guy, I've never heard of him. He's going to be terrible." and then I started doing a show called Young Justice, and I played a character, Aqualad in Young Justice, and they said, now that they knew me, they were like, he's just gonna sound just like Cyborg, he's gonna be terrible. You know, but they always end up liking me, so I know that I can win you over, but the internet is usually the first thing they think is, you're gonna be terrible. And so I thought that with Ezekiel, the first thing they were gonna think is, you're gonna be terrible. But I think having a tiger, you know, roar next to me, helped a lot because I have not gotten any of that. I've gotten so much love, nothing but love for Ezekiel from the very first moment that Shiva and Ezekiel were in the trailer, you know, and you just got that quick snippet, you know, and people seemed really on board, and I think it helped that you couldn't hear what he sounded like in the comic book, you know. And as soon as I started reading it, that was the first thing that came to me, is that his voice needs to have, you know, like, and so I feel like that helped a lot, helped everything kind of jump off the page and come alive.
Because you've done so much voice work, I've talked to a lot of actors who said, oh yeah, you know, it helps me find the character when I put the costume on. Right. And that, is finding the voice for the character kind of that for you?
Well, I mean, the beauty of my job is that everything changes. it constantly changes. Sometimes it's the suit, sometimes it's the hair, you know. But the way that I found the character in the audition was absolutely through the voice, you know. And it was because it didn't say in the comic book or in the script that his voice changed. It said that his physicality changed, that he became more relaxed in his physicalness, but it didn't mention the voice. And I thought that's the thing that has to change the most. Is the voice. So I think I was just weirdly, you know, qualified for this particular gig because it was like I've been doing what 15 years of voiceover. Before that, it was, you know, 20 years of Shakespeare, and so this I seem to just weirdly qualified for.
So 20 years of Shakespeare definitely paid off.
Absolutely.
In this character.
Absolutely. Hey, 20 years of Shakespeare pays off anyway. I love me some Shakespeare. You know, Billy's my dude.
So you mentioned the tiger. We got to talk about the tiger. So I assumed that the tiger wasn't real. I assumed that it was.
Who told you that? Have you been reading things on the internet? Is that what happening? She looks real to me.
She looks real.
Beautiful to me. She's in my pocket right now, and I can pull her out at any moment.
So
she's like, pull her out.
Let's see the tiger. So is there a tiger there sometimes? And is there, or is it CG?
No, it would be abusive to have a tiger waiting for us to you know.
They do use animals in movies.
Yes, but wild animals should not be used in TV movies. So we don't do that. And we've got an incredible effects department. So we've got an animatronic tiger. We have two actually, one that's seated and one that's standing. And then we've got another one that can move a little bit, but mostly it's CGI. The first shots that you ever see of Shiva, it is totally CGI. And there's a moment in the trailer where she roars, and I kind of look over at her and smile, and I remember that particular shot because I only did it once, where I looked over and smiled, and I remember thinking in that moment, I wonder what you're gonna look like, because I have no idea, you know? And turned out she looked great, and I was thankful because if that tiger did not look good, then everybody was gonna blame me. You know, the downfall, the jumping of the shark. They're gonna call it the jumping of the tiger. You know, yeah, and it would have been all my fault.
And so for that shot, was it like, because they give you something for reference, right? Like a tennis ball with a...
No. There are no more tennis balls. No. I mean, they might have used tennis balls somewhere. Maybe at Wimbledon. You know, maybe the French Open, but we don't have it. Actually, someone was very cute and they brought me like a green tennis ball with Shiva written on it. But actually, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Unfortunately, I've been like miming and pretending things were there for a long time. You know, I'm just weird like that. I've done enough really crappy, cheap theater, you know, where they were like, yeah, we can't pay for a broom. Just pretend like you have a broom. So I was ready to have a fake tiger.
So that's a testament to everything paying off. Every little bit of experience you pick up along
Every little bit, man. I've been doing this for 22 years, you know? No, I'm sorry, I've been doing this for, I keep forgetting how old I am. I've been doing this for like 26 years. 27, okay, let's stop talking about how old many times. Since I was 18, you know, I mean, since I went to school for theater, and and every little thing does pay off, you know. It's like, they're like, so how did you get this audition? I was like, well, when I was 11, I decided to think about being an actor, and when I was 18, I decided I was going to be a theater major, and little by little, every time somebody told me no, I was like, oh yeah, well, you're going to find out that no was a bad idea, because one of these days, you're going to look up and be like, no, we're wrong about that guy. And so I grinded away for 20-something years, but the cool thing about it is that, I mean, this is obviously the biggest, you know, break of my career, but I've been doing what I love to do for 2 decades now. Well, so I'm happy, you know.
The voiceover stuff, I mean, it's not like you're starving. The voiceover stuff is great, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I've been making, but even before I was doing the voiceover stuff, when I was doing those crappy theater jobs that didn't pay anything, where they wouldn't get me a broom, I was still loving what I did, you know. So the cool thing is that the journey is really what it's all about. And so, and it's funny, you know, just looking back and be like, wow, I finally made it. And I was like, you know what, I made it a while ago because I made the decision to do what I love, you know? So whether it's, you know, chopping down trees or, you know, or acting or whatever it is, if you're doing what you love, you know, then, you know, you always got enough in your pocket. That's what I say.
I'll turn it over to you guys. I just want to ask about, you say, you know, you love going into work, you love doing this every day. I've often heard that the kind of more grim the subject matter of a movie or television show is, the more kind of fun it is on set, because you got to blow off the tension of seeing the darkness somehow.
I blow off the tension no matter what. You know, I'm going, you know, no matter, I mean, whether we're having fun on camera or it's in drudgery, I'm always enjoying myself. Although, Walking Dead, I mean, and I love it. But after 18 hours of, there's a famous scene now that you haven't seen yet, but it involves me and like mud and gravel and rain and like 18 hours of being drugged through it. And we did that for 18 hours, and then a couple of days later, the director came to me and he was like, Khary, you know that shot we did with the gravel and the mud? It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to do some more of that. And I remember sitting in the chair, and I just thought to myself, I asked for this. I asked for this. Don't complain. Get up and get in that gravel. And it's like, no matter how bad it gets, it's like, you know what, you're gonna be able to brag about it later. So get your butt up there and do it. You know, I mean, we're always having a good time. I don't know any other way to do it. You know, it's sometimes me having too good a time is why I've lost jobs. Are you having too good a time? You're gonna have to go out the door. Yeah, I knew that wasn't for me. I knew that wasn't for me.
And you're coming into a family, essentially. They've been working together for a long time. Tell us a little bit about what it was like to come onto this set where people have been working together and you know, have existing and being with one another on set.
Yeah, you know what? The coolest thing about the show is that the moment I got on set, the way that they go about doing things is including everyone. And I mean everybody in the crew, everybody in the cast. The first day that I was there, I actually didn't have a scene with Andrew Lincoln for months after I started. But the first day I was there, Andy was there and knocked on my door, and I came out and we talked, and he stayed there for half the night in the scene that he wasn't in. Because he's the head of our thing. He's the head of our family, and he's the kind of a head of a family you would want. You know what I mean? Because he gives you that feeling like he's going to give you everything he's got, and you go through a wall for that dude. And I think and it trickles down from him, and we'll all do that. We'll all do. I was just talking to Saniqua, who's you know, we're both here signing today, and we're talking about how much we learn from Andy. Not so much, I mean, also in acting when you watch him in action because he's amazing, but also seeing how he pulls everybody together. And if you ever met Saniqua, you know that she does that anyway. She has that feeling about her anyway. But it's a special thing to have an entire television show on your shoulders the way that Andy does. And he makes you want it. I mean, it's hot, it's dirty, it's nasty, and we fucking love it because that's what makes us. That's the glue that pulls us all together. You know, and so immediately I felt at home, and immediately I felt a part. You know, and you don't get that everywhere. This is a special thing. I know that it's incredible and millions of people watch it. And it's a great story that we tell, but it is an incredible symbiotic thing that we do that goes beyond, you know, just even if it wasn't as big a hit. I'm glad it is, because it means that we'll be around until you know, that fateful day I trip over a rock and, you know, my head lands in a zombie's mouth. But, you know, other than that, you know, I know that we'll be around telling the story for a while.
All right, let's turn it over to you. You are very keen to ask a question. So you ask them and I'll repeat them so everyone can hear.
Okay, I kind of stole my question, so I came up with another.
You can come up with another one.
I'm wondering if you have a memorable moment or a really funny moment that's happened so far? I know you probably can't tell us what's coming up, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, most of those moments I can't talk about yet, actually.
So is there a memorable?
No, but oh yeah, she wants to know of a memorable moment that we took a little bit of your job. There you go. There you go, exactly. Have some water, have some water. Exactly. It stings going down this. So anyway, no, I guess the fondest memory that I have of my first day, my wife was like, Khary, you know, you get into work mode and you start thinking about the work, but take a moment and look around and pull all of this in. You know, take a moment to take a picture and see and remember these moments that you're having. And it was right before, there's that moment in the first scene where we're corralling pigs. You know, that was our first shot. And the way that the shot goes, the wranglers would let the pigs out and they would come running toward us, and then and they wouldn't yell action. Just when the pigs got to us, and it was Lenny James and myself, Lenny who plays Morgan. When they get to us, we start herding them back the other way, and just know that the cameras are running and we're off to the races. So we're standing there and waiting for them to get the pigs together, and it was just quiet, you know, and you could hear the wind blowing, and it was just a little eerie for a minute. I look over there and I see Lenny James. He's standing a couple of, 10 feet from me, and first of all, Lenny James is standing 10 feet from me. And we're about to do, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I look at him. I said, Lenny. He looks at me. I said, man, it's my first shot. And he looked at me and he said, and here's the cool thing, it's because he never breaks his accent. He's always has his southern accent. But for just that one moment, he was like, welcome to the family, man. It's just like, and that's when the pigs come out. And then we just go rolling. And it's like, I'm off to the races. I've been running ever since. It's awesome.
What's it like working with Cooper Andrews?
What's it like working with Cooper Andrews?
Cooper is he's my big little brother. I love him so much. He's probably the only difference between he and Jerry is that Jerry's maybe not quite as quick as Cooper is, because Cooper's hilarious. But they both are just those genuine, lovable bears that I mean, he walks into a room and everybody turns and goes, oh God. And then he smiles and everybody's like, hey! And he is just, I mean, I love him so much. I remember when the show was about to air, I was doing an episode of The Talking Dead, so I got to see the episode before it aired, but not everybody else did. And after we finished, I called Cooper up immediately. I was like, dude, everybody's gonna love you, man. Everybody's gonna love you. I mean, you're just awesome on the show. And he's so humble, and he was just like, man, thanks. I didn't know if I was coming off as, too cocky or something. he's the sweetest guy, but he's so, I guess, self-deprecating and just doesn't elevate himself at all. He's always, trying to help, always smiling. If you ever come to a convention, he's always got pie. I mean, he's just that kind of dude. I absolutely love him to death, and I couldn't ask for a better guy to be around, because the cool thing about the show is that whenever the King Ezekiel's around, Jerry's probably right there. So it's like I couldn't ask for a guy to, if I'm gonna go on this journey with somebody, you'd want it to be him. He's awesome. I love him to death. What about this little dude back here? He's got his hand up. Little guy, what's up? I don't know if he's just, saluting me or no, he got shy. He's waving. All right, yes, absolutely. E does equal, yes. Exactly. E equals MC squared, yes, that's true. That's a different forum, but thank you for asking. How about you right there, Doc?
Yeah, we'll let him think about it.
If you could say booyah.
Yeah.
Booyah! I just got a couple of booyahs left in me for today. Curiosity. Yes, Doctor.
My name is Carolyn. I'm from blackgirlnerds.com. So my question.
Blackgirlnerds.com. I love blackgirlnerds.com.
Thank you. So I have two questions.
Yes.
My first question is.
All of a sudden feel like I'm in Washington, D.C. like staff meeting. Hello, I'm Amy from blackgirlnerds.com. All right, this got serious. Is this about tax reform? Because I don't know nothing about the tax reform.
Me either.
All right, good.
So my first question is for Ezekiel. We don't have any scenes with, with regards to Ezekiel and how he speaks. We know he speaks with Shakespearean language. And the only other person similar to him on the show is Jaden. What do you think his reaction will be to meet someone who speaks completely different to everyone else? He speaks in standard form,
Right.
but she speaks in kind of like her own broken dialect.
Actually, they went to the same school together. She just majored in a slightly different syntax. You know, actually, she majored in it's called Weird Ass Syntax 101. Yeah, but they both went to Syracuse, actually, University, go Orange. And so that's what happened, and that's absolutely the truth. I don't know. I think Ezekiel would probably get a kick out of it more than anybody else. You know, I think he'd be interested in where she came up with it. The funny thing is that nobody asked King Ezekiel. You know, it's like, why are you talking like that? I guess the tiger kind of, you know, everybody's like, you know what, I won't ask. I'm just going to assume that he's got a good reason. He's got a tiger, why not just let it be? Yeah.
And for my second question is not to be morbid, but if there was one way you could end Ezekiel's story, how would you end it?
Oh, I don't know, King of the Apocalypse.
Yeah!
How about that? How about a less morbid ending? Oh, you want me to kill myself? That's what you mean. Do you know what show I'm on? They don't need ideas.
Like, what would your last shot or your last scene of him be? Like, for instance, for me, the most perfect scene we would have had was when we had the dinner scene of everyone, you know, when they were outside and we had visions of Michonne and Rick and everyone happy. That would have been my perfect ending for the series, but you know, they shot that dead. But if you were able to do it, what would be your perfect last scene for Ezekiel?
Let's see, he'd probably walk into a barber shop and say, take a little off the side. Yeah, exactly. Nice to meet you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, I'm trying to keep this brief.
I need you to sit back down until you're more excited. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So there we go.
Okay, so my question for you is there any character on the show that Ezekiel hasn't interacted with in the show that you would like to share a scene with, or any actor on the show that you work with more?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to the time where we're all kind of backed into a corner together, because the show is so separated at this point. I get very little time with most of the people. I mean, except Cooper. I know my boy. Jerry's gonna be around, but most everyone, I really would love to interact with just about everybody. I mean, Morgan and Carol, of course, you know, I tend to hang out with more, and honestly, I can't complain because they're like two of the best actors you can ever imagine working with. Me and Melissa, every time I'm on set with her, she makes me better. Whatever I do on set with opposite Carol, it was going to be awful. And then Carol comes in, and somehow Melissa says one thing to me, and it opens up an entirely different world in my mind, and I am better for it. I feel like sometimes when you're as old as I am and you think that you should probably know what you're doing already, and I come on, I'm prized, not surprised anymore, because I'm looking forward to whatever I'm about to learn, because I know that I'm about to become a student of the moment that I'm in, you know, with these incredible actors, Lenny James and Melissa. But yeah, one of these days, of course, I would want to spend more time with Andy and Norman and Danai and Lauren. And it's like, the crazy thing is, the little time that we spent together, we've had a ball. You know, so I'm hoping that'll get to happen. Norman is like the happiest and most supportive dude I've ever had on a set. Literally, I finish my scene and I'm not looking at him, I'm just looking at somebody else, and they're like, cut! And I look over there, and Norman's just jumping on me. You're doing so good! He's just like, isn't he doing so good, everybody? I was like, and the whole time he's just staring a hole at me, trying to be all mean, you know, doing it. Just, you know, Daryl, you know, whipping, you know, take some of the hair out of the way, and look mean, you know. As soon as they go cut, big smile, bear hug.
I'd love to see, I'm really hoping we'll see Ezekiel and Negan sing soon.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm hoping for that kick-ass scene too. With my boots.
We can kind of make that happen.
Absolutely.
Diggity dog!
Yeah, that's exactly. You know, don't get too excited. You know, it's not going to end well for you. Yeah.
When you were younger, why did you choose to be an actor?
You know what? That's a great question. Why did I choose to be an actor? You know what? There's something about storytelling, this interaction that you know, whether it's on stage. And by the way, best question I've ever been asked on any panel ever. Well, how old are you? You're 10. Keep asking questions. I think that's an awesome question. I think because honestly, that's I have to think about it. But there was a moment when you're on stage and I'm vulnerable. I'm more vulnerable than I've ever been, and you're sitting right there, and for whatever reason, we're both vulnerable at the same time. And we've never met, and we've never had a conversation, but we're together right here, right now, me and you. It does, you know, there are very few things that get better than that in life for me. And so as a storyteller, that's all I care about is that moment of connection. And the cool thing about this show and television and film, and there was a while I was doing a lot of that weird, cheap experimental theater. You know, my mom was like, you know, Khary, you know, maybe you should just focus on theater because you love doing that so much and you're happy. And I told her, I said, I love doing theater, Mom, but I feel like I'm supposed to reach more people than I can get to just the people in front of me somehow. And this show reinforced that so much for me, because when I come to a con like this, and every once I meet all of these people and I have such a great time, and every once in a while there's somebody out there that comes to me and says, this moment in this show, in this episode, changed me and how I see the world. And that to me is everything. And because I want to feel like this is more than just entertainment and us having a good time, but there's something that moves you to be bigger or better or different than you were the day before, you know. And there was a guy I met a couple of weeks ago who he was like, listen, I just wanted to let you know that I quit my job because you told Morgan when he said he was stuck, you said you're not stuck. And so I went to my wife and I said, I'm stuck and I need to get unstuck. And so I changed my life. I'm doing that. I want you to know that happens. And that happens more often than you can imagine. There was a father who came to me because of Teen Titans Go, because he has an autistic daughter who, when she has an episode, she won't calm down except when they put on that show. And then she calms down. And I can't tell you what that does to me on the inside. I can show you right here, right now. So that's why I do it.
So since you couldn't tell her ahead of time, I'm assuming the first time your mom saw was during the trailer, what was her reaction to seeing you as Ezekiel?
Oh, baby. It was so excited. What? Her first reaction was probably, you know, through the fingers covering her face. She still watches it with a blanket over most of her face. When she's watching my dad in full hog, he goes to the theater in Athens, Georgia, to watch it with a bunch of people. Yeah. They like rent out. There's a theater that you can go see it for free, and everybody goes in, and you know, and And so I got to go get him a reserved seat for my dad, father of King Ezekiel, that now he puts that on his resume.
You have 2 kids. Are they old enough to watch the show? And if so, what do they think?
No, they're not old enough to watch the show. They're 5 and 8, but they're old enough to know that I'm King Ezekiel and I have a tiger, and when we're at Disneyland, if they're really good, I will get them to the front of the line. I did that one time to see the Harlem Globetrotters, and literally my 5-year-old is like, Daddy, can we just tell him that you're King Ezekiel? Not King Ezekiel, King Ezekiel, so that we can go to the front. And I was like, no, you be quiet, because we're only gonna be here for 10 minutes, just stand in line like everybody else. Because, you know, without the hair, not everybody knows, you know, so it's, yeah. You can't be constantly taken up on that.
Negan has a
Yes. You are not Negan.
That's all right.
That's my kind of Negan.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. For one, thank you very much for being here, and welcome back to Toronto.
Thank you.
I've been a big fan since your voice acting days, and I'm a huge comic fan. So and a huge King Ezekiel fan, and you're doing an absolutely amazing job.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. I'm a bit scared and skeptical if that scene you were talking about. But I'm not going to go there.
Don't worry about it, man. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine.
It's not you I'm worried about.
You know, there was no Jerry in the in the comic books.
This is true.
Jerry's on the lookout for me always.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I just have to sit on somebody.
So amazing part that is in the show but isn't in the comics is your relationship with Carol.
Because Carol's dead in the comic book.
Okay.
See, so there you go. So if she can survive, so can I. There we go.
Yeah, way back in the prison days.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's a really phenomenal thing. I'm really liking your take on it, and both you guys going back and forth. Could you perhaps go into any detail on your relationship offset with Melissa McBride, and maybe subtly maybe try to give us a hint of what we can maybe look forward to seeing in your relationship together?
I was wondering how long you were going to string that question out to see if I would forget that I'm supposed to not tell you anything.
Okay.
It's like, is there any possible way in the future that perhaps in some form or not, that you maybe could possibly, in not so many words, tell me exactly what's going to happen to your character?
No, just the relationship. It may.
Oh, just the relationship.
Just the relationship.
That's the show. You're going to have to show up on October 22nd, just like everybody else. I will tell you though, about Melissa though, off screen, and this is the absolute truth. She loves to bar fight. So weird. You wouldn't know it to look at her. But that woman can swing. She just likes to wait till about 11:30, 11:45, you know. She just walks in there. She usually orders like a Molson, cracks it over the bar, and just beats the crap out of some random dude. But then she makes some cookies and they don't care. I don't know what, it's weird.
Thanks so much, man. Thanks for
You're very welcome. Yeah, and when you see Melissa, you can tell her I said that.
Will do.
All right, yes.
Hi there. Which do you prefer, voiceover acting or live action acting? And who's been your favorite character to play so far?
Well, what I love about my job is that I don't have to pick, because I love them equally. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but the truth is that when there's so many things in voiceover that you're not able to do. And you know, I played Apocalypse. I played Doomsday, you know, in voiceover, you know, and it's hard to play like a 30-foot, you know, alien Cro-Magnon whatever, you know that thing that Doomsday is, but I got to do that, and then there are moments in voiceover where one of my favorite characters is Aqualad, who's in Young Justice. And one of the parts that I hated that it wasn't live action, especially in that show, because they play silences incredibly well. And the thing about voiceovers is that I don't get to play the silences. that comes without me being there. There are those moments when he's being very cerebral, when he's thinking to himself, and he's a very introverted character. And to me, some of the most telling moments are when he's quietly thinking to himself. And those are the moments in live action that I love, are those quiet, contemplative moments. But also the times where you get to, kick people in the face and jump over cars. I love that too. So the wondrous variety is what I love about my job, and always has me excited about going in the next day. So that's not really an answer to the question, but that's what you're getting. Yes, you like that? With the leather jacket?
Yeah.
The non-Negan jacket?
Yes. All right. So my question is, what's your mindset going into the audition room? And was there a particular moment where you realized, okay, now that I'm approaching it like this, I'm booking the work and I'm reading the room. From a fellow actor that wants to get where you're at, how do I read the room? Like, what am I?
I don't know. They say that there's that 10,000 hour rule, and I've been at it a long time, and I've been, there are moments that I always say, there's a casting director, actually a casting director that does The Walking Dead, and then she's got a sign on her desk when you sign in, and it says, "I'm not good enough to come here unprepared. Are you?" And I love looking at that, because I look at that and I think I'm not worried. I'm prepared. And whether I get it or not, because here's the thing, you can be too tall, too short, too this, too that, but always come prepared. Because I met that casting director 15 years ago, and I always come prepared. And that's why 15 years later, I barely worked in what did I do? Maybe a couple of guest stars, maybe tested for a pilot or something, 15 years. But she always brought me back, because I'm always gonna make her look good when I'm in there to whatever producer, because even if I'm not right, they're like, that guy was good. Yeah, he's not right for this, but too bad, he's pretty good. He came prepared, he knows what he's doing, he makes his choices, and he runs with it. And so, I always make sure I make an impact. They may hate me, but they'll remember me. And so even as I've been grinding this whole time, getting close, I've done 9 failed pilots. Okay, so that's a lot of getting close and not getting. Like getting close and not getting. But you get up back on that horse and you prepare. Yep. So that every time you go in, every time you go in, you know that you're representing the best of yourself. And then it doesn't matter the rest. Doesn't matter the rest. My career wasn't made when I got this job. My career was made because every time I go in and I go at it with passion, right? That's all that matters. That's all that matters. If they don't want you, don't worry about it. The next one will. Right?
It must be disappointing after 9 pilots that don't come. There must be some, but is that how you deal with the disappointment of that? Is just knowing that you did the work you wanted to do and you did it the best you could?
I mean, I get motivation in different kinds of ways, but I love the process of putting together a character, and yeah, that absolutely gives me juice. And I always think of when I go into an audition space that it's mine. Yeah, I'm walking in there, and that's something that changed for me, I guess you could say, is that exactly, young person. But that changed for me is when I stopped thinking of it as I'm going into someone else's room, and they're to perform for them. It's like when I walk in, the room is mine, and you're about to hear what I have to say. When I leave, it can be yours again. But I take ownership of this thing that I'm doing, and so it gives me a feeling of my preparation, and that mindset gives me a feeling of confidence. They can smell it when you're not confident. So be prepared. It's like you're going with a test you know you're prepared for, and you put your feet up on the desk and you're like, come on, teacher, give me what you got. That's all right.
This young guy's had his hand up for a long time.
Since the show is over yet and there's a lot of praise about it, how do you think The Walking Dead will end?
Oh. How do you think The Walking Dead will end?
Yeah, an asteroid will come and hit the Earth, and then it will start over with the new kind of dinosaur. I have no idea. But actually, that sounds really good, and I think I'm going to write that into a story. How about you back there?
Who's the
honestly, you know what? We've been shooting so fast and furious. There haven't been as many pranks on set, you know, lately. The last prank was I did one to Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, but it was at a convention. I just took all of his pictures. I took all of his pictures and replaced them with everybody else's. And if you know Josh, that was driving him nuts for a second. I was just sitting back there, yeah. He was like, okay, that was funny. Give me my pictures.
We just have time for 2 more, so right here, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just curious, how uncomfortable is it to wear the King Ezekiel wig? And are you
It's actually not that uncomfortable. It costs like $50,000. That's a very it's like top of the line. It reclines. It's got air conditioning. It's really, it gets a little itchy after 12 hours. But
being in that Georgia heat, it would.
the jackets are what's that's the problem. They got jackets made of like neoprene and I was like, the first time I met Robert Kirkman, I was like, it's really nice to meet you, thank you for the job, turn around, because I'm gonna pants you, right here. Because there's no reason, you knew that I was gonna be in Atlanta in July, and you made me wear that leather, weird jacket thing, that got like, upholstery from a furniture store on it. It's crazy. How about you right there?
This really isn't a question, but a request. If you could just give a shout out to my son Justin, who couldn't be here with us today because he had school tomorrow.
Justin, you had to work. You couldn't be here. You're schooling yourself. Son, next time, skip school. Come see me.
I love The Walking Dead, but this is a Teen Titans Go question.
Yes.
How can your character Cyborg think burgers are better when burritos are clearly superior?
Dude, I went over this in episode 47, all right? You were going to I literally had a flow chart that told you all about this, all right? So you're gonna have to go back in there. This is not a question that you're gonna ask. Thank you very much.
October 22nd, tune in and see what's next on The Walking Dead. Thank you so much.
Everybody stay there. Gotta take a picture for my girls. Yeah, hold on. Let's see video. Yeah, let's do video. There you go.